Today, I wish to speak on language. In drafting legislation, wording matters. If it is unclear or inconsistent, the law may not work as intended. An example of this can, unfortunately, be found in the Child Safe Organisations Act. Here, I am concerned about the proposed reportable conduct scheme specified in Chapter 3, Section 26 of the Act. While its purpose is to protect children and young people, the current wording of this scheme does not guarantee that all children may be protected. Section 1 of this subsection states that ill treatment of a child, including physical violence, committed to or in the presence of the child is ill treatment. However, in subsection 4, ill treatment becomes reasonable force if it is deemed necessary for the discipline, management, or care of the child. This creates confusion because child safe workers are then told to assess the developmental characteristics of the child to then know when to administer reasonable conduct. However, the problem is here that age and levels of cognition do not explain why a child is acting a certain way, and this is particularly problematic when child safe workers exist as sole traders, such as support workers who may not have had training to understand the underlying causes of a child's behaviour. Consider this de-identified case study. Shona is a 14-year-old with level 3 autism and a severe cognitive impairment. Although Shona can speak, they need consistent prompting to express their every need. For example, when Shona wants to eat, support workers must offer several different food options, interpreting Shona's body language to gain her response. Because of this, Shona requires sole traders with no long-standing commitments to provide 24/7 care and allow them to participate in daily life. Unfortunately, Shona often exhibits what some in the industry may call unsafe behaviours, wandering off or opening the door to a stranger. According to the Act, Shona's age and development are in conflict against each other. What this means is that if a sole trader support worker who has had limited training is with Shona when they wander off, they are within their rights under the Act to restrain Shona if they can find no other feasible way of protecting them from an unsafe environment. The solution, now the industry solution to stop Shona from becoming a victim of restrictive practice while their concerning behaviours are managed is for Shona to work with an accredited positive behaviour practitioner. With this practitioner, Shona and her support team are encouraged to discuss verbal strategies that would enable her to be better supported in unsafe environments. Typically, these strategies are then reviewed by the positive behaviour support practitioner after 6 weeks. The problem with this is that verbal strategies do not work for Shona, who, after all, has no way of responding verbally to them. However, Shona has been given a learned augmentative alternative communication device to trial. In the 3 weeks with which Shona was able to trial this device through not a behaviour support practitioner but an occupational therapist, they were able to verbally express their needs to support workers. Support workers then noted that along with this new form of verbal expression, Shona's behaviours of concern were said to decrease significantly. Hence, this example illustrates that communication problems can be the root and not the consequence of challenging behaviour. As such, positive behaviour support needs to change. Instead of relying on conducting positive behaviour support assessments and strategy discussions in office rooms and reserved environments, the discussions must occur in real time in the environments where people like Shona are surrounded by the stimuli that renders them vulnerable. Further, positive behaviour support practitioners are currently the individuals said to administer these behaviour support services. Therefore, it seems illogical for communication devices to be trialled by other entities such as OTs. If we are to physically examine the conditions through which we could improve life for people like Shona, we must examine disability systems as a whole and ensure that there can be positive behaviour support practitioners who are continuously trained in the use of these tools with the individual they are seeking to support, not just as part of a workshop or a single event. After all, if we create a society through which children like Shona have an active role in gaining their own life and a life beyond, and a life particularly beyond childhood, then all children will grow up knowing that they can expect that too. So I do urge the Queensland Family and Child Commission and all other stakeholders involved to review the Child Safe Organisation Act, including positive behaviour support as a first resort way of monitoring behaviours of concern in children, and including the provision of AAC devices as necessary tools for communicating with children during those moments of exhibiting concerning behaviours, not as a solution to potential behavioural problems. After all, it is through direct action that people can be understood, and if people are understood, it is this which creates meaningful change.